Hi there. Welcome back to Kari's Confessions, a nonprofit exec tells all. I'm Kari Anderson, principal with Incite Consulting. I've spent 25 years in the nonprofit sector in leadership roles with 7 organizations. Now, I provide coaching and consulting services to ensure that nonprofits, like yours, have the structure, systems, and practices to do your best work. Wherever I go, I continue to hear that nonprofit execs need a space to gather, to receive tools, feedback, and advice that encourages you to stay the course. Doesn't seem to matter if you're in a village of 182, like I am, or a metropolis of millions. Nonprofit work is both gratifying and lonely. I'm here to make sure you have a chance to breathe, laugh, smirk, and maybe get excited again about the important work that you do. So today's topic is all about creating a successful year-end fundraising campaign. Here we are, just 3 months from year-end. How's your year-end campaign coming along? I can guarantee many of you are in the weeds as we speak. And dare I say, some of you are just getting started. There might even be a few saying, what the heck is a year-end fundraising campaign? I want to share with you today what I believe to be the essentials of an effective year-end campaign and some tips for success, particularly for my nonprofit friends in small to medium-sized organizations, my small and mighties. So today's 3 takeaways. Use data to set a challenging yet attainable goal for your year-end campaign. Be specific with your ask. Extra credit, you customize your ask to each donor, and make it easy for donors to give. So as we get started, a few stats for you about charitable giving last year from the National Philanthropic Trust. In 2023, the largest source of charitable giving still came from individuals who gave $374.4 billion. That's billion with a B. That represents 67% of total giving to the nonprofit sector. Charity Navigator says upwards of 40% of nonprofits' revenue comes in at year-end. I've seen another stat that says 42% of nonprofits raise 60% of their unrestricted operating capital between November and December. And 10% of all giving happens in the last 3 days of the calendar year, according to Neon. If you're a fundraiser, these stats aren't surprising to you. There's so much hustling that happens at the year end, and it's an important time of year. Many executive and development folks find themselves scrambling to make budget and are reliant on a strong year-end campaign to make that happen. So today, I want to focus on this busy time of year and how to knock your campaign out of the park. First things first, I hope after last year's campaign, you took some time to gather feedback. Look at key stats to determine what worked well and what didn't. I love getting feedback from donors that you have a close relationship with. Also, staff and board members about the campaign. If you didn't do this, make a note and ensure that it happens after this year's campaign. Another first things first, if you will, I hope that throughout the year you've been in front of your donors with communication as to how their support has translated to direct impact for your organization. There's nothing worse than someone making a donation at year-end, getting a tax receipt, and not hearing anything from the nonprofit until December of the next year. It's a recipe to fail. The best thing to do is to avoid this happening at all and ensuring that you've got a communication plan that accompanies your annual fundraising plan that outlines your appeals throughout the year, along with several other touch points to share news, stories of impact, and express gratitude. Okay, now into the weeds of your year-end campaign. Set goals that are realistic and relevant to the stage your organization is in. Don't compare yourself to others. Oftentimes, I work with organizations that have a big, lofty year-end fundraising goal, but don't have an established donor base to support the numbers. This type of planning and goal setting sets everyone up to fail. Instead, think about a monetary goal that's realistic and several other measurements you can track that indicate growth and success. Think along the lines of total number of donors, average gift size, donor retention from last year's campaign, increasing total donation amount from previous donors, engaging lapsed donors. Share campaign goals with board members and actively ask for their support in achieving them. It's a plus to set board-specific goals for the campaign too and have some fun with it. Maybe a board challenge. Remember, everyone can play a role in fundraising even if they're not comfortable asking. Sometimes it's fun to encourage peer-to-peer fundraising for staff and board and make it a friendly competition. Again, dependent on where your nonprofit is in your life cycle. Get specific with your ask. So much time can be spent on developing a theme and materials around a campaign. Yeah, the theme and narrative are important, but the most important thing is your ask. What are you asking the donor to do? You need to have a clear call to action and needs to be something tangible that the donor feels like they can do and that their action will make a difference. It works well to say things like, a $50 donation provides 10 backpacks to kindergartners. Vague language doesn't work as well. Rather than ask for support, ask for something specific. Make it easy to give. Friends, this drives me crazy. When you direct a donor to your website, it better darn well be easy to give. If you're sending direct mail, include a remittance envelope with dollar amounts that align with your call to action to give. Reiterate what each level of donation will accomplish on the remittance envelope. And while I'm at this, making it easy for donors to give, yes, donors still give via check, hence direct mail. Yes, donors give online, right, via their credit or debit card. We are far past the time where you shouldn't be able to ask for stock donations, right, and make it easy for folks to give via wire transfer. We need to offer as many opportunities for donors to give as possible. And those donors that are higher in income bracket and have liquidity often will choose stock instead of a credit card to make gifts. Now is the time to make sure that you've got that brokerage account open for donors to be able to give to you. Customize your ask. Your year-end appeal is a great opportunity to segment your donors. We'll talk more about that in the next podcast. And ask for donation amounts based on their previous giving history. Again, you should be tracking this via your donor database or your CRM. Use multiple channels for your communication. Your year-end campaign should be reaching donors via direct mail, email, social media, and your website. Keep the messaging consistent. Build your stories throughout the year. I think we all know by now how powerful an organization's stories are. It's the most meaningful way to demonstrate impact. Continue to tell these stories on social media and on your website during your year-end appeal. Ideally, year-end appeals really can gain momentum if you are securing a challenge match. People love knowing that they have the power to double their impact. If you're unfamiliar with a challenge match, it looks like this. A donor might make a contribution, $5,000, as a part of your year-end appeal, and that gift is considered a match. They will match as soon as your campaign hits $5,000. That's a challenge match, right? Other types of matches include a matching, gift, right? Where that a donor may give $5,000 and they will match every donation dollar for dollar up until $5,000. So remember, as we get into this season of giving, fundraising is a team sport. Team meaning board, team meaning staff, team meaning volunteers. The year-end campaign is something everyone should be aware of and encouraged to participate in whatever level is comfortable and appropriate for them. Don't get bogged down in making everything perfect, right? Remember, perfect is the enemy of good, right? We want everything to look pretty. Messaging and actually delivering on the ask is actually what matters the most. Also, it's political season, in case you have been in a hole in the ground. Your printers are busy. Get on your timeline early, like today, to ensure that you don't experience a delay in getting your materials out if you are still depending on significant direct mail. There's still room and importance for those one-on-one connections with donors this time of year. Set aside time and prioritize personal outreach to your major donors and engage those board members in helping to make phone calls, sending thank you cards, and additional messaging to make donor engagement even more meaningful. After the campaign, so folks, mark your calendars in January now, right? Don't stop when the campaign ends. Take that time to follow up with your board and donors and feedback, and staff to get feedback, right, from your campaign. Evaluate your progress towards the goals that were set for this year's campaign, whether that was dollars raised, number of new donors, average size gift, right, etc. Share this with your team and your board. Find and celebrate the wins because you will have them. Acknowledge the work of your team and the board towards achieving those goals. And while you're doing this evaluative and debriefing work, create a timeline for next year's campaign now so that you can execute flawlessly when it comes to fourth quarter 2025. Remember today's 3 takeaways. Use data to set a challenging yet attainable goal for this year's year-end campaign. Be specific with your ask. Extra credit for customizing your ask to each donor based on their history with you. And make it easy to give. Make sure to follow me on your favorite streaming platforms, including YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. Many of you may know that I'm no longer on Facebook or Instagram. Yep, that's right. I am only using online platforms that work for me. So for additional resources and tools, follow me on LinkedIn. You can also check out my website, inciteconsultinggroup.com. Thanks for joining me today. Have a great week.